Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Soul of a Man podcast. I am your co-host, Darren Bryant.
And I am Michael Humphrey, also known as Chill.
So today, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest with us. I had the pleasure of meeting this young woman several months ago. Oddly enough, I was at a therapy session, barbershop, for those of you who don't know. That's a black man's therapist. Getting my hair cut, and I think I was finishing up paying my barber, and she walked past me. Let me back up. When she walked into the shop, this light, this radiant light started to shine in the barbershop the moment she walked in, and this hush came over the entire shop. She kind of matriculated through everyone and made her way past, and she said, "Excuse me," as she walked by to speak with the gentleman who owned the barbershop. I didn't think much of it at the time other than, this woman brings a lot of happiness and joy. I could just feel it. She sort of exuded this energy. And I went on about my business. I had some work to do that day, so I went to the library. Didn't feel like working from home. I look up probably about 30 minutes later, and in walks this young lady. She looks in the room that I'm in. She waved at me. She said, "I saw you in the barbershop." And I'm like, "Yeah, you did." And so she came in to the office that I was in and said, "Do you mind if I read something to you? I'm writing a book. The book is called It's Simply Love. And I would love to read my prologue to you. Would you take a minute and listen?" So I did. She said, "And I want the honest truth. Tell me what you think." And anybody knows me knows that I'm honest, and I'm going to give you the honest truth if you ask me. So I closed my eyes, and she commences to reading this prologue. And I had a million things going on in my brain as she's reading this. And the first thing is like, okay, and this is no craziness. This is just how it is. She could read to me any day. Her voice was that smooth, that soothing, and that amazing. And I think you guys will understand this as we go along with this podcast. And not only that, you probably will recognize this voice because she moderated our very first episode for us to get to know us. Without further ado, and enough of me running my mouth, I bring to you, she is a graduate of Hampton University, the real HU, some will say, and I'll let her and the people from Howard debate that. She is a retired IBM executive. She is a TV producer, an educator, a singer, a motivational speaker. She's an author. She's a community activist. She's an entrepreneur. Some say she's actually a child prodigy. I say she's just a great woman of God. Without further ado, I bring you Miss Chauncy Douglas.
All right.
Welcome to the Soul of the Man podcast, Chauncy.
Thank you so much. Very good to be in front of you all again, especially from that soul of a man. Yes.
Well, look, so let's talk about this book you've written. It's called It's Simply Love. Simply Love. Go get it. I've read it. It's a great read, everyone. Why did you write It's Simply Love?
I wrote It's Simply Love because I believe God's hand was all over it. In the world in which we live in today, and even before our time now, so many people never knew how to, and still don't, know how to appreciate themselves, love themselves, and as quiet as it's kept, they really don't know themselves. They're so focused on trying to be someone who they are not, which means it gives you a false sense of self. Now, these are my thoughts from within, because what you didn't read, It's Simply Love, a free-spirited written love letter, unlocking thoughts from within. So these are my thoughts to help you or to provoke you to think. So a lot of times we don't think. That's why we don't even know that we don't even know. Well, I thought you said this. And by the way, audience, I try to be a little humorous because sometimes these things, the truths about ourselves can be painful for some. So I don't want it to be harsh or to be painful, but that's why. And I started writing this book during the pandemic. I went on a 7-day fast, which is a normal way of life for me. And they had closed all the beaches. You could only be a homeowner and walk the beach. And so a friend of mine let me use their cabin. I took my bicycle. I was on the beach on my bicycle. And I took books, I took food, and I began to write. Water and the mountains soothe me. So I believe this is Simply Love came about because That's what the world needed then and now. So that's
Gotcha.
why.
Wow. How did we get to, as a society, how did we get to the point where we're so disillusioned and so confused about who we are ourselves? How did we get to this point?
We got to this point by not believing in ourselves, not knowing who we are, not trusting who we are, not searching of who we are. That's how.
Not searching. So just totally not giving any time to it, consumed with life, or just don't know how to do that?
It's twofold. But why search for yourself when everyone has pumped you up and now, oh, you think you're a bag of chips with a pickle on the side and your soda is completely flat. So so there's no motivation to do that. And then sometimes you just don't want to because there's so much pain that's associated with who you are or where you came from. That's how.
So interestingly enough, in this prologue that you read to me in the library that day and asked me to intently pay attention, and I did, you wrote that love is one of the greatest achievements a human can actively participate in. Please explain what you mean by that.
Well, we know what actively participate means, right?
Yes.
You have to be a part of it. It's a team. It's a partnership. It's an effort on not just your part, but others who are involved with you, others who meet you. And to actively participate in love, you begin to see who you are, sometimes through another person's eyes. And that gives you something else to think about. Because why do they think of me this way? Or why don't they think of me this way? So it gives you an opportunity to look deeper inside of who you are. That's why.
Got it. Okay. Why is it, Chauncy, that you think people actually run away from love?
Fear. And I love the Lord.
Yes.
There's no secret about that.
Absolutely.
And God says that in his word, he hasn't even given us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. So think of those three words first. But when you fear, you don't even feel. When you fear, there's a numbness that I've heard. There's a numbness, and I've felt fear before. There's a numbness. So why would you adopt such a feeling? Why would you adopt such an emotion? Why will you want to be on a constant road of fear instead of loving yourself, knowing yourself, and then understanding? God says, with all thy getting, get understanding. He didn't say with all thy getting, get knowledge. He didn't say with all thy getting, get wisdom. He said, understand. When you understand who you are, then you can authentically be who you are, who you were purposed to be. And we go through life doing a lot of different things, having different jobs, having different responsibilities. But yet there's a time when you lose sight of you. How can you be a help to anyone else? How? You can fake it, but then that's not real either.
But isn't the fear naturally a part of who we are?
Well, were you born in fear, Michael?
I was not.
Okay. Were you born in love, or were you born in lust? Do you know?
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, what about those people who were fearless in love and then something came along and happened, got hurt for some reason, and fell out of love, and now they're fearful of doing it, repeating the cycle?
Have you ever been fearful in love?
Absolutely.
Why?
Because I've been hurt and I've hurt people and I didn't want to repeat that cycle.
Fear of the hurt.
Fear of the hurt.
Fear of the hurt. Okay, so fear of the hurt. But did you fear it before then? Because you said you've done it before. Why did that have to be you again? Why did you have to go through that same process? Why didn't you take time to understand why you did these things?
That's a good question. And I did.
Because hurt people hurt people. And until you come to the realization or the understanding or to wanting to know, why did I do these things? It's going to be a vicious cycle. And I'm not fond of cycles like that. because you keep chasing and going round and around. And then you truly are not any help to anyone else. And that's what love is to me. God is love, but love is also loving others as well as yourself. And that's what's important. But if you don't know yourself, certainly you can't truly love yourself. You can fake that too.
Got it.
Now, are there any specific tools, anything that you can suggest, any specific tools in regards to gaining more of that self-knowledge?
You have to want to know you. And when you want something, Michael, do you go after it?
Yes.
You have to go for it in full force. I remember Darren and I were having a conversation earlier in the week, and he talked about a hunter versus a gatherer. There's a huge difference in you going out to hunt for something than to gather something. Hunting requires you to prepare, to know exactly what it is you're hunting for. See, gathering, you're just going to pick up anything. You could pick up a serpent and don't even know it. And it could bite you, and it could be dangerous. It could be deadly. Right. So the key word here is change and decision. Decide to want to know who you are. That's where the change starts. That's where it starts.
That's good.
So let's stay on the hunting and gathering, please. So in chapter 1 of your book, you talk a lot about what I consider this new age dating.
Oh, not new age.
Okay. Well, what would you define it as then?
Well, new age, someone listening to it, and they're a new age person. This is metaphysical and, all of those. I want to make sure there's clarity there.
Okay.
You mean the new way
the new way of dating.
Okay.
Whether it's through social media, dating apps. I am traditional in my dating methods. I haven't dated in a long time. I've been married for almost 9 years now. But if I were dating today, I still would be very traditional in my dating methods. I'm a hunter by nature and by choice. I think people who date via apps and social media, they're gatherers, like you talked about. You were, I won't say critical in your book, but you actually spent a lot of time on this topic of electronics and technology as it relates to finding love and things of that nature. Talk a little bit about that.
And it's not just about finding love. So I want to make sure that's clear. It's not just about relationships with a man and a woman. I'm talking about relationship with yourself, first and foremost, your family, colleagues, the gatherers. They're not specific in what they want. Can you get a hug from a text? Can you get a hug from your text? Now, I want it clear that I have nothing against cyberspace or technology. I know it is very helpful, but can you nurture a text?
No.
Can you nurture an email? Can you the voice, the inflections? You'll know how I feel.
Right.
You'll know when I'm angry.
Right.
So when you're just gathering, you're here and there. Sometimes you're confused. Oh gosh, that's not what I thought it was, But when you're hunting, you have created a specific. Does that make sense to you?
Does.
Total sense.
Okay.
Total sense.
It does. Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
I hear a lot nowadays about specifying one's love language. What does that mean?
Well, I don't know, because I don't write to love language. I know there's a book that's about the four love languages. I don't see, there's one language. God is love. And until and I'm not promoting anyone to go and get saved or change their lives in terms of that from a spiritual perspective, because I make it clear that I don't apologize for my spiritual status. Right. I don't at all. But I'm not going to bounce things down your throat. And in addition to that, I don't have to preach to you. I shouldn't have to lecture to you. I should not have to tell you who you ought to be, who you should be, and who you need to be. And when you understand this love, this inner love, the core of you, oh my goodness, you soar like an eagle. And I'm an eagle, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, not the NC Central. But that's what's important.
Right.
That's important to me.
Can two folks who are not equally yoked spiritually make it?
Absolutely. It's in God's word. He tells us. In fact, that's what I use in spiritual counseling. If a brother decides to live with an unbelieving wife, then let it be. And vice versa. If a sister decides to live with an unbeliever, because there's something about when you decide to love you and you decide to get to know you, there's something about you that has a look that somebody else wants. They're like, oh, I like that. Oh, let me get to know that person a little more. But you will run away from it if it looks like something you don't believe you can handle. Now that's fear. God didn't give us a spirit of fear.
Right.
Okay? So, and a hunter doesn't fear anything. I'm going to get that, whatever it is. Okay, I'm going to get it. I'm just not going to gather it and hope for the better. Right. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. Even within the book, just going back to your childhood, going back to the womb, folks knew you were different. You were special. And there's an aura about you. We had one previous conversation, and you got, you were talking with Darren, you got off the phone with Darren, I got on the phone with, and sent Darren a message, said, call me right now because I need to talk about this. She's special. So what is that inner thing in you that you're exuding to the world that draws people into you? The happenstance, the spontaneous meeting at the barbershop that turned into another meeting at the library with him, even total strangers who now have a bond. I mean, truly have a bond. What is that inner thing in you that does that you exude?
Well, firstly, it's not happenstance. Everything is purpose in our lives. And see, when you know you and love you, you'll understand that. So I want to make sure we clear the happenstance up, because that's the same as coincidence, right?
Yeah.
So I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
However, it has been said by others, and I'm learning, I have embraced it, that I'm special when people say that, because God made me that way. He knew he could trust me to whatever he needed me to do and wanted me to do. I would be bold enough to do it, and I would be obedient enough to do it. I've said no to a lot of things that people have asked me. I mean, these are people of extreme wealth. These are people who are impoverished. And I learned how to say no. Because, listen, when it's all said and done, everyone that is with you is not for you. So you have to choose. And choosing is also a choice, which is a part of change and decision.
That's good.
So, VSP. Talk to me. VSP.
VSP, my verifying. Do you remember what page that was on?
I do not.
You do not. My verifying.
You verified possible solutions.
Yes, I wanted to. So that's in that chapter that you talked about, where I'm always talking about this technology. And I related it to the GPS.
Yes.
Okay, and the GPS is a mechanism that's on your phone. Is that technology again that I talk about? It's on your phone, it's on your computer, it's everywhere. But what happens on that GPS when there's a detour? You could get lost, couldn't you? But my VPS, and I don't want to give the book away totally, my VPS is a verified possible solution to help you to get where you want to and need to and desire to in love.
Got it.
Trust is one of the components.
Yep.
Trust. So it's not a mechanism. It's a rooted for me, and this is why I created it. And I'm an acronym person, by the way. It creates you to think some more. Well, if I want to get to someone that I really like and, possibly fall in love and possibly marry them and just have this long-term companionship, I've got to come up with some type of strategy. I need to know exactly what I want. And there are some components that's going to make that work on my behalf and then theirs. That verified possible solution.
Yes.
No detours.
No detours.
No detours.
No shortcuts?
No shortcuts.
Got it.
No shortcuts. You have to be all in or, just wait.
Okay.
Yeah. You appear to me, I'm sorry, you appear to me to be a consummate overachiever. So reading the bio, reading what others have said about you, etc. And this seems to have started from a very young age. Have there been setbacks that you've had to overcome, and how did you do it?
Well, let me ask you a question first. Yeah. Do I look human to you?
You do.
So then I am. So absolutely, that answer is yes. There have been setbacks. Now, the word you said overachiever. No, I am an achiever. I believe I can do all things through Christ which strengtheneth me. There's nothing I don't believe I can do. I could build this wall. I could redo this entire house. I can design it. I can decorate it. I can put up a wall. I can do some other things. So you have to believe. See, that's a part of belief for oneself. See, when you know you and love you, you'll believe in you. When others don't, whether it's family or friends, you will believe in you. And you'll start to do those extraordinary things, not overachieve. I don't want to overachieve because I can miss something. But, I'm going to achieve. If I set out to do something, I'm going to achieve that because I already have help. Certainly, I can't do it alone. And so I believe that many of them say that because, you can talk a good game. Mm-hmm. People can talk a good game. Yeah. They can talk about who they are, what they did, and all that. Really, those are empty words sometimes. But what do people see? What can they see? How are you consistent with what you do and what you say? That's who Chauncy is. There's no doubt. So overachiever, no, because I like to take it back. Now I just want to be on a little farm somewhere, in a little place in a cabin with the fireplace, hearing the wood crackling, smell the smoke burning, and eating real good. Okay, so, that's a part of me loving and knowing me. I know what I want and what I don't want. See, we can be so bamboozled by what looks good, what smells good, and maybe in what tastes good. But is it always good for us? Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm. From a relational standpoint, you said something.
Go ahead.
You said something just now in regards to knowing what you want. Now, this is a male-female argument. This is a husband and wife argument. This is a boyfriend-girlfriend argument, partners argument. But you hear it a lot now. Other podcasts, other platforms, specifically from black men. Y'all don't know what you want.
Wait a minute. Did you say y'all? You mean some, rather, right? You mean some.
No, we mean women.
Here is women. and men sometimes don't know what they want, but
the critique is men
to women.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why would you waste someone's time when you know there's no interest? That's selfish. That's selfish. And selfishness has no place with love. Not true love, not real love. Mm-hmm. That's selfish. Does that make sense to you? Do you understand what I'm saying to you? So why would you wait? When you know what you want, you're not going to waste somebody's time, and you're not going to allow them to waste yours. That's a problem. And I think it could be for several reasons, and I haven't really taken a closer look at this, but it could be that you like the sex from another person, whether it's male or female. Mm-hmm. My book is not gender oriented, huh? Yeah. I tell you, it's not about me, my, right. It's not gender oriented. However, you waste people's time. You waste your time. And then you want to then point the finger and blame someone else once it doesn't work out on your behalf. Wow. That's not good. Mm-hmm. So in terms of setbacks, yes, there are some men that I've really, really liked. But you know what they end up telling me? And maybe you all can help out. Well, what can I offer you? What can I do? You got this, you this. But you don't know the core of me. Mm-hmm. You haven't taken the time to really get to know me. You're looking at that surface. And I think that's where relationships break down because you're blinded by the wrong things. Mm. You're blinded by outer beauty. Yeah. You're blinded by a job status. You talked about chasing the bag in the podcast that we did. Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. So, yeah.
So men are visual creatures, though. And
Of
I
course.
just heard you. I mean, so the first thing we're going to see is what a woman looks like. And realistically, relationships could start off as lustful before they
Yes.
start out, before they end up lovely. And it may take us some time to get there. I don't think, how could you help men out in terms of finding love when you have all this lust in front of you?
Stop being selfish, because the reality of it is you just want what you want. That's the bottom line. Okay? So then look at the core of that woman. Okay, she looks good on the outside. She smells good. Good looking. Everything just looks right on the surface. And that's what I just said. So why don't you get to know her a little bit as opposed to like looking at her from, and I know you all are visual, and that's good. I'm visual. I'm a creator. I'm visual.
Right.
And at the same time, when you start looking a little deeper and you can see the cracks and all those other things, kind of changes the dynamics. So you should really desire. I think a way a man can be helped. Know what you want going in. What kind of character do you want this woman to have? What kind of, do you want her to really love you for you or love you for what she can get from you? And vice versa these days. Women use men. Men use women.
Yep.
It's just, this word keeps jumping, it's popping into my spirit. Selfishness. It's all about what you want. So when you finally decide that it's not really about what I want, it's about what I need, what I desire. And not even need, let me change that, what I desire. So see, that gives me a clear indication that you don't know you. Why should I want to be with you and you don't even know you? Then that's going to bring some extra weight on me. Okay? I don't need that extra weight.
Right.
And I talk about, there's a chapter in there I talk about, how can I lecture you when I'm still working on me?
Yeah.
That should be an ongoing situation in our lives. Still getting to know you and love you. Then guess what? You know what happened? Somebody's going to come by that you never thought you would be able to have. You know how you men get, oh man, I can't have no woman like that. Or I can't have a man like that. You finally will see that you are worthy. See, worthiness is a problem people have trouble with. Well, I just killed somebody the other night and I'm not worthy of God's love, so God can't love me. Yes, he can, and yes, he will. We're flesh. We make mistakes. Do you know the real reason why I murdered or killed that person? Was it self-defense, or did I set out? Did I premeditate that act? You don't even know. So then what happens, you know what, gentlemen? You get to be judgmental. Wow. Judgmental is a part of selfishness too. It's a character of selfishness. So that's what I would tell a black man or a man in general. Now it's no race attached to that. Stop being selfish. Know you and your self-worth, just like I share with women. And wow, you'll get something you thought you could never have, or you'll get exactly what you're deserving of and that you desire.
I had written down the word worthy, and my personal default is always, am I worthy?
Why not you?
No reason. No reason. When I first mentioned something along that line to you, you said, where does that come from? And I shared with you childhood. And always a sense of, am I worthy of this? And it's still something that requires some work to this day. How do I get beyond it?
Do the work. Put a plan together. Put a strategy together. You already know your dilemma. And you used a word, we were chatting, downtrodden. Don't let anybody beat you down. That's going to be the goal of an enemy, of someone who thinks that they're less than, or you're thinking that you're less than. Have your goals set high. Have your desire set high. I deserve this. I deserve this. There's something really important about deserving something.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, it also, for me, leads to a constant chase. So set this high goal, you accomplish that high goal, and then it's still the pursuit of the next thing for my own self-worth.
You know, and I just had a visual on the other side of through. So you're on this side of the tunnel, but you got to go through some things to get on the other side.
Yeah.
What's wrong with what's on the other side of through? What's wrong with what should be good about going through some things to get to what you deserve, to get what you're worthy of, to be worthy? You've got to be willing to go through. And it's not always going to be peachy keen. It's not always going to be beautiful or the way you wanted. Get outside of yourself and go through. That's the goal.
So let me ask you this, because it sounds like my podcast partner is a bit cautious when it comes to love.
Yeah. Right now, especially.
Yeah, today, yeah. And you have a chapter that's called, I want to make sure I get it right, Love Like a Lighthouse. And we all know a lighthouse prevents ships and boats from coming ashore at night and running across rocks and tough terrain. So you proceed with caution when you see the light from the lighthouse. Help my friend and help those who are watching this podcast or listening to this podcast. Love with caution, but also, proceed, so to speak, and don't get stuck by the caution.
Can I interject 1 second and just read what I wrote down on that?
Please.
Okay.
Whether you are in distress or darkness has blocked your directional vision, I will position myself to be a beacon of light and to love to help guide you through if you need me.
I was right there with you. Right there with you. So whether you're in distress, gosh, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I want to love again. I've been so hurt. I've done all what I thought, operative word, was the right thing. I was good. I was a provider. I did all these things. But I'm in distress now. Darkness has blocked your directional vision. Now I'm mad. I'm ticked off because this has happened to me and I didn't deserve it. Watch this. I will position myself, and this is me talking, but I want this to be thought-provoking for you. I will position myself to be a beacon of light and love to help guide you through if you need me. Now you have to decide, do you really need that? Do you really need someone's help? And the answer should be yes. There's an old song, no man is an island, no man stands alone. But the average person, especially men with sometimes your macho, narcissistic, egotistical
Watch out now.
stance. I'm a truth person.
I need you to get off my toes.
Okay. Huh?
I need you to get off my toes.
Say ouch. Just say ouch. Okay. So what happens, you have to decide, do I really need anyone to help me through this? And a lighthouse is strong. It's sturdy. And it's always been used. Do you know it sits on water and nothing has beat down a lighthouse yet? Other things corrode and they just fall over. They have to rebuild them again. A lighthouse is pretty stable. It's sturdy. So that lighthouse, and the reason why, and I'm a creative person, and I like to give you visuals. Some people are visuals. And so if you need me, what is wrong with saying, I need your help? And that's what men were afraid to do for a long time. Some men, they didn't want to ask for help. They wouldn't even talk to each other.
Still a lot of that.
Yeah.
Still
But
a
I'm
lot of
saying
that.
this is why I wrote this here, and this was in my heart, because you don't want to ask for help. That's the last. If you need me, I'm not going to push myself on you, because you may not be, one, capable, and two, you may not be ready.
So
You have to decide that.
So you just described a black male dilemma for right now, because I'm too proud to ask my brother and I'm timid,
Too scared.
too scared to ask my lady, because she can't see it as weakness, and he can't see me as something less than.
Work it out. Work it out. Let that be a reality that you say, you know what? Hey, I'm not that guy anymore. But you don't want to get overzealous and overthink or okay, yeah, now, I'm this hardcore dude and ain't none of that going to affect me anymore. No, that's a part of who you are. That's how you're a priest, provider, and protector. You can't exemplify or even act out any of those three. Mm-hmm. You got it?
I got it.
Okay.
And that lighthouse possibly comes in the form of therapy?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. One thing, and here's a quote from Love Like a Lighthouse. One thing about loving like a lighthouse, you don't have to be concerned with blocking your opportunities of rescue or sabotaging the success with a potential mate by imposing or forcing your expectations on them. Do you understand that? And a lot of people do that. Well, I want my friend to understand what I'm going through. He just can't, or she just can't understand it because they have never seen anything. My woman, my man, they don't understand it. This is just really, and I'm just going to run away. No. You have to stand firm. That's the only way you're going to get it. If you get wishy-washy and all those things, there's instability in you. And the average person doesn't want to embrace that there's some instability in me. How can you get strong until you know you're weak?
But I'm still working on me.
Well, work on you. That's what it is. That's what it is. Now, if I can help, I will. Yeah. If you want my help, I'll be there for you.
It's funny when I look at the chapters and how you align them. This is the Love Like a Lighthouse is chapter 2, but I'm going to skip forward to
You're clever.
to chapter 5.
Okay.
And it talks about forgiveness feels free. I think everything we literally just talked about can't be achieved until you learn how to forgive. And when I say learn how to forgive, I mean forgive yourself. First. That's my problem. I've been through bad marriage because of me. I ask for forgiveness of that person, but I never forgave myself. And I wrestled with it for a long time. I mean, I carried that burden for a very long time. And I still probably wrestle with it to this day some. Just for the simple fact is I know I hurt someone. Talk about forgiveness and how it's important before you can move on and before you can find love again and so forth.
Forgiveness. There's a passage that God says, listen, I want you to forgive 70 times 70. That's a lot of forgiving. And half of it may not have been your fault. Mm-hmm. See, that's when you get on that self-pity. I talk about going to guilt gatherings and pity parties. Really? Okay, really. Get out of that. The only way you can forgive you is to know that whatever state of mind I was in at that time, I don't want to be there anymore. I want to let go. I want to be free. Because, see, forgiving someone doesn't make them right. It makes you free. Now, and there'll be many pastors that would differ with me. It will make you free, or it will set you free. Set? Wait a minute. Set versus make. Oh, see, if I'm in prison, the warden can set me free, but he can't make me free from not doing what I did previously. But God makes me free.
Wow.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Yep. So this forgiveness piece, and hence, know you and love you, and you will make yourself free. Because you'll let go of that heavy weight that's holding you down, that's keeping that constant reminder in the back of your, the mind is a terrible thing. Mm-hmm. And that's what you hear playing. Oh, that's why that cliche, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words may never hurt. That's a bold-faced lie. The words can hurt far greater. And if you hear them over again, whether it be from different people, that creates that trigger. and you'll experience that all over again. And it's called trauma. Why take yourself through that when you can love yourself and move past pain? Huh?
Well,
that's the road to recovery. That's how I see it. So forgiving is so important because it frees you. You first. Because didn't you play a role in wherever that hurt and that pain was?
As the
of
primary.
Course you did.
Yep.
Of course you did. And then on the other part of that is that you allowed it. You're allowed to participate in that, but yet then you want to point the finger that it was him, it was her, it was them, it was they. And no, I can't stand the them and the theys. What about you? Huh? What about you? So and very clever of you to pick up, and I did, this was purpose, but a friend of mine called and said, girl, I've never seen anyone to give the title of a chapter and then put something right after it. The Look for Love. Want to be found? Chapter 2. Love like a lighthouse. You'll see. My ingredients for love. Try them. Heartache hinders. Be happy. Forgiveness feels free. Let go. Let me count the ways. The shortest chapter. A quarry of my favorite quotes. Think on these. So, and love is the antidote. That's the real remedy. Hence, it's simply love.
I'm going to take you back.
Go back.
To chapter 4, Heartache Hinders.
Okay.
You think you're just going to skip over that?
Right. How about that?
You said that was the most difficult chapter for you to write. You actually took a break in writing that. Talk about why and why it was so difficult.
Well, for those of you who are listening and seeing this, I write a quote. I love quotes. I write a quote before each chapter, and then I give you an antidote in the end. So as I began writing this chapter, I was talking to a number of people, just kind of getting, because it can't just be about what I think, okay? So I need to know to make this more real and for people to grasp and understand it and then embrace how you're really feeling. I wrote the quote that opens this up. The heart aches when there's an absence of love and affection. Wow, you'll do some crazy things when you don't feel love, when your heart aches. And so as I listened to these stories or these experiences, these incidents, these situations that these various people had, wow, I couldn't even believe it. And I stay away from, are you serious? I ask, that happened to you? What can I do? What can I do to help you? Because right now my heart is bleeding. What can I do to help you? Is there something I can say? Is there something I can do? I tell you one thing I can do for you. I can show you that you are loved. But there's a first step. You got to love you.
Yeah.
This is why this heartache and these aches continue to happen. So that's what I would suggest that you do. Start learning how to love you. And that's why it made me feel so, it hurt my heart. It made my heart bleed to hear these things that I couldn't even fathom some of the things that I've been told.
Okay.
Yeah. That chapter was tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the longest chapter, by the way.
Heartache hinders.
Heartache hinders.
Yeah.
Did you read the antidote? The antidote is at the end of each chapter. And then I give you a page that this is your book now. So then you write, but the antidote is, don't cover you up, uncover you, then the healing can begin. See, healing is key. A lot of people want to run away from healing. They want to stay stuck in that. And I liken it to sitting on a nail. And after a while, it doesn't hurt anymore. So you keep on letting these situations, relationships that are no good for you, unhealthy. You have to unlearn, but you just stay there. Because you don't want to change. You don't want to do anything different. And now it doesn't even hurt anymore. But guess what has set in? No, not guess what. What has set in is gangrene. What has set in is hurt and pain and bitterness. And you're not even open to love anymore. You're not even open. You're numb. You can't even feel that it's real. So the antidote is don't cover you up, uncover you, then the healing can begin. Heal, people, heal.
But that takes time.
It does. Oh, yes.
That takes allowing yourself some time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. And there's a quote in here that talks about time. Harvey McKay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Time is key in any relationship. Family, friends, relationship. Time is key. And most people are not taking the time to first know themselves and love themselves. Mm-hmm. So hence some other thing then begins to creep in there. Yeah. And it begins to hinder your growth, hinder your help, hinder your understanding.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Tell me what this means to you. I was sinking deep in sin, far from a peaceful shore, very deeply stained within, sinking to rise no more. But the master of the sea heard my despairing cry. From the waters lifted me. Now safe am I. Love lifted me. Love lifted me when nothing else could help. Love lifted me. Love lifted me. Love lifted me when nothing else could help. Love lifted me. What's that mean to you?
My aunts told me that my mother, when she was pregnant with me, she used to sing 2 songs. It's in the preface, I believe. She sang 2 songs to me. Love lifted me and this little light of mine. And it took me a long time to understand this. Being called a love child, the light bulb came on. Okay, that's literal, okay? The light bulb came on, and figuratively for some. Mm-hmm. My mother was feeling, because she was pregnant, she got pregnant with me her junior year in college, okay? Love lifted me. That's the only thing that can bring us out of that despair, out of that hurt, out of that pain. But it first starts with who? You have to love you first. Mm-hmm. You're the one in despair. It's not always the other person. They may be there for the wrong reasons. And I was seeking deep in sin. I wanted to be a whoremonger. I wanted to be one that was silently liking the women, but nobody really was going to know. I got in my introverted self. But love lifted me out of all that muck and all that mire when I decided that I was sinking and knew that I was sinking, that there was something else greater than me that could lift me out of all that. And that was the master of the sea. He has control of the sea. And he wants to love us enough to have us love ourselves so that we can lift others. That's the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Did that help you?
It did.
Yeah, I didn't have to go through all the words, but that was the pulse of it.
One of my mother's favorite hymns.
And I sing it when I'm a vocalist as well, and typically people want me to sing that or Good Morning Heartache. I was in a pageant and I sang it through every local, state, and national. Good Morning Heartache. Mm-hmm. And hence, that was a part of this chapter too. I went all the way back to my childhood. What was those things? And while I did have some setbacks, not in childhood, but golly, Good Morning Heartache, you can still wake up to some things that, I wish they had loved me like that, and why not? I don't ask the why questions anymore. I ask, what can I do to make a difference? What can I do? I know the world tells you to know your why and all that. Really? Mm-hmm. You don't even why. How are you going to ask why? Huh? And see, that's how people get caught up in what man says, the them and the theys say. Now, I'm not asking everyone to agree with what I'm saying, but it's what I believe. And it's in the pages of this very book. And I'm just hoping that it will help someone to love themselves and to know themselves even the more.
Well, good deal. I guess that's a good point to close on.
One last question.
Sure.
We promised ourselves that when we were blessed to have an HBCU graduate with us.
Yes.
we'd harken back to the movie Brown Sugar with the classic line, "When did you fall in love with hip-hop?" But change it just a bit. When did you fall in love with our home by the sea? When did you fall in love with Hampton?
I fell in love with Hampton when a recruiter, I had a four-year full and paid scholarship. And there was a reason for that, and we're not going to talk about that. But the recruiters came to my home, and they told me they heard some things about me. And these were all good. Mm-hmm. We heard some things about you. Is this true? Have you done this? You're only 16. Have you done this and have you done this and that? Yes, I did those things. I did. We want you. But we want you to come. We're going to take you. We want you to come to Hampton. We want you to decide, what do you like about Hampton? And the one thing that pulled me in was that water. That water. And I could think, and as I walked, I could feel the breeze, and so many things begin to just encompass me. And it felt good. And Dr. Harvard, who is no longer our president, came in when I came in. So he wasn't there when I was doing my little walkthrough and my tour. But it was one person, and he's gone now, Dr. Ollie Bowman. And he said, "Girl, there's something special about you, and we want you at Hampton. So you can't make any other decision about anything else. You see this beautiful campus?" Now, remember, it was Hampton Institute when I was there.
Yep.
We're talking about 1976, so it didn't look quite, but I had a vision. I could see that if I stayed here, I'd get exactly what I needed. Wow. And I did. Home by the sea. Not a mistake by the lake, but a home by the sea. That's what the other HBCUs try to say.
Right.
So, yes, that's why. That's how.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Well, Ms. Chauncy, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on the Soul of a Man podcast. I think I can speak for my podcast partner. You are a godsend. I would ask you to continue to let your light shine, continue to be that lighthouse for those who are seeking love, whether it's relationship or getting back with a parent or a child or whatever. Keep being that beacon of hope, that beacon of light. Anything you want to leave us with?
Love yourself. Know yourself first and foremost. Take time for you. Take time for you. Married, that's okay. Take time for you, because we're all responsible for our own salvation. Mama can't save you. Daddy can't save you. Wife can't save you. Husband can't save you. Children cannot save you. Friends, so-called friends, you. It's simply love. You, it's you. And that's what I want to encourage you. And this is what I do in the book. And I made it a short read. People have said it's power-packed and this is what we need in our day and time. But we all need love. So many want it. Some of them are afraid to be loved because they don't believe that they're going to get exactly what they deserve. Or am I worthy? Yes, you are worthy. Do you believe that you're worthy? Know you, love you. It's simply love.
Hey, it's simply love. One last thing, I lied. One last thing. Where can people find this book, and where can people follow and find you?
Our Instagram address, and I want to give some shout outs.
Please.
My sister Shantae, who I raised from 6 years old to 4 years of college, she is my marketing agent. She is awesome. She constantly tells me the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. But this woman is, Shantae is creative. She's professional. She's personable. She has done a marketing job that book coaches told me. I met a guy, owner of a hotel, didn't know he owned this hotel. Was talking to him, right? And he heard me listening to, I just had my birthday, a 65th birthday, and he said, "Who are you?" When I got off he said, "Who are you?" He still hadn't told me he owned the hotel. Make a long story short, he says, "Oh my gosh, I want to connect you with this book coach. It's a friend of mine up in New York." And when I called the book coach, and I'd already finished the book. When I called the book coach, she said, "You don't need me. what you have done, she said, you do not need me. So I want to give a shout out to Chauncy Douglas, who really, really has helped to promote this. And I tell her all the time, and it's in one of the acknowledgments, iron sharpens iron.
Yes.
So baby girl, you are that for me. And then to Eric Thompson, my graphic designer, Project 74. Eric has been so creative. I mean, of course now I got to be involved. Right. And so he just enhanced. And then there was some things that he just did that, were extraordinary. So a shout out to him and a shout out to all my friends. We have an ambassador. Chauncy came up with an ambassador toolkit, and it goes out to the people that have asked to do book signings. And it is it's beautiful. Wow. So a shout out to those two persons and a shout out to all my friends, my true friends, and I have a lot of them that really are supporting me. I don't even have to ask. They are supporting me. Fantastic. And I'm just grateful. And I'm grateful for you, too, at giving me this opportunity to just share It's Simply Love with your listening audience. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a wrap from our soul to yours.
Amen. And to yours.